Hi Lee, okay?
Hi mate, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Yeah, you sound fine. Right, we're good. Right, so we are recording. But yeah, nice to meet you, mate, and thank you very much
You
for
too.
agreeing. Hopefully, we get a good show out of it. I'm sure we will, because like I say, reading through what you've sent me, bloody hell, some life.
That was a short version.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we don't tell all our dirty little secrets, do we? Right. So what I'll do is I'll just give a little intro, let everyone know who you are, and we'll just go straight into it if that's all right.
Go, go.
Right. Okay. So welcome back to the Slightly Forgotten podcast. I'm your host Wayne Manderson. Today we're joined by a man who's lived a dozen lives in the space of one. From the intensity of an infantry attachment with the legendary glorious Gloucesters to the shaping of minds whilst teaching in China, he's a man who's been around the block all while keeping his roots firmly planted in Leeds. Whether he's serving on the committee for the Army Benevolent Fund or capturing the spirit of our veterans in his own unique way, he's a true testament to the idea that you can leave the service, but the service never really leaves you. Please welcome today's guest, Lee Buccilli. I hope I'm saying that right.
Buccilli.
Buccilli. Thanks for coming on, Lee. And like I said, it's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. You too.
So, right, so let's start with the name, Buccilli, not your typical Yorkshire name. You want to tell us about that and a little bit about your life leading up to joining up?
Yeah. My grandfather's mother, she was Italian. My grandfather, he joined the Coilies during the war, and later on in the war, he was in the same unit as his two brothers on D-Day.
Oh, wow. Wow. Coincidence.
Yeah,
So,
good for them though.
yeah. So obviously, like, is that still a big part of your life, the Italian side, or
No, no, no.
no?
I mean,
No,
I've
pure
been to
Yorkshire.
Italy. Yeah, yeah.
Love it, love it. Right, so yeah, tell us about a little bit about your life, obviously as a youngster, and
Oh.
because obviously you're a
Uh,
different generation to me, aren't you? So you know,
yeah, cheers.
no offense, mate. No
um,
offense, man.
no, give over, give over. Yeah, brought up in '70s in Leeds, but in '79, um, we emigrated to Perth in Australia. So I lived out there for a bit, and came home after about a year and a half. Um, Started again, but I was brought up by my grandparents, so I think they just thought it'd be, like starting a new life for us and stuff like that. But basically, my great grandfather, he was dying. Me, I say mum and dad, but they were my grandparents. But on my mum's side, her dad were dying. She were either going to come home to like nursing until he died, or we were all going to come home. And we had a family boat, and very soon we came home.
3-2,
Yeah,
close.
yeah,
What
very.
what were you voting? What were you voting?
I voted home.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Because no matter where we go, we always seem to find comfort, don't we, in our roots?
Yeah, and just the God level of flies. You know, when I was a kid, I was just constantly.
That's why walking around with them cork cats.
Apparently so. Yeah, that's why I do everything.
Yeah, not a fashion statement, that's for sure.
No, no, not so.
No. So how was
I
you in
must have.
school? Was you? Because I find a lot of people, um, like who I've spoken to anyway, kind of, I wouldn't say they struggle. They just kind of they don't have that academic route or academic path that they want to follow, so they kind of stumble across the military.
There were some subjects I absolutely loved, and they were just when my old army mates when they find out that I were a teacher, it rocks the world because it wasn't like I was bad with discipline, but yeah, I could be a bit testy. And
Yeah.
school just wasn't for me, really. Especially as I got older, high school, just couldn't do with that.
No, it's hard, isn't it? It needs to proper engage you, doesn't it? But I know a lot of
Yeah, and
people
it
just
didn't. It didn't.
no. That was my main struggle. I just couldn't. There were subjects like you I did enjoy, but even that, like I was kind of zoned out and just couldn't be bothered. So leaving that, it was just an absolute nightmare in terms of what I was going to do. So I actually ended up going to college to study art
Right.
and design, funnily enough, which we'll come on to later. But I did a couple of years doing that, and even like that kind of the theory side of it just never engaged me. So I just, like I say, I just stumbled into the military really. But it's just interesting to hear other people's perspectives because,
I
like I
was
say, it's just
working. I was
yeah,
working from being 13, and if I could knock off school and go to work, earn a couple of quid, that was so much more important to me than
yeah,
school. And I did.
yeah. So much more appealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Few
And
quid in your pocket rather than having to
and
do an essay or something.
but working with fellas as well, like working with men. I
Yeah.
kind of, as a young kid, I really enjoyed that and enjoyed that environment. And yeah, I excelled.
You kind of grow up fast, don't you? You have to in that environment.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the one that they like pick on, do you? So
No, not at all. Not at all. And, you obviously, it's like when you join the forces, there's always that when you go your first working unit and stuff. But yeah, I got a bit of it, obviously, when I first started in the market, but, I rolled with it and I quite quickly moved on to somebody else.
yeah, yeah, you just got to brush it off, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, then, so let's move on to the military. So you joined the Signals in '89.
Yeah, back
Um,
end of 89.
when you arrived, did it kind of live up to what you expected, or was there anything that surprised you?
I always remember because the night before I left home, I was thinking, yes. A mate came round and I said, all right, just a couple of pints. Yeah, we ended up clubbing and everything. I went shit stained next morning. And I always remember when we got off this bus with my coach, this bus at Helly's Barracks in Catterick. I remember seeing this guy, very flat jacket, SLR, and I just remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to do that. I didn't know we're on 24-hour guard.
Miserable as hell.
Yeah, but it was like you said before, it wasn't planned. I'd been to Ibiza. I left my job and went to Ibiza, and came back a few weeks later, sunburned and skin, tail between my legs. I started doing a job actually I quite enjoyed. I was fitting like antique fireplaces and stuff like that, and I liked all that. But my boss, he used to take me to Army Recruitment Office and basically wash me down in the back of his van before I went in. And yeah, I'll be honest, because I wanted to join West Yorkshire Regiment, and I just got completely blagged by the sergeant in the recruitment office. And yeah, I always thought it won't happen because something else will come up. Before I knew it, I was on a train going to Darlington.
So why was he trying to put you off that then, or what, was he just needed numbers elsewhere? What was the reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, I suppose, since going in the army, I've always thought we're recruiting. They have a quota of what they need,
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
even know if I get or used to get commission on it or anything like that. But yeah, you're completely like, no, no, no. Look at this. Look at these pictures there. Uh, just completely blagged me.
Sold you the dream of the Signals.
Oh, there was picture of this guy, earphones on, in a Panzer, in top and all that. And they were like, look at that. Driver lineman. Oh, yeah. Trade, driving. That's what you want to be, lad. And there
It
he goes.
worked. It
I got
worked.
black. I got blanked by a few pictures.
I don't think you're alone though, do you? Are you? So,
Ah,
you know.
no, no, not at all.
So when you did arrive, and like you say, you got to the barracks and whatnot. Obviously, there's a level of intensity that you're probably never used to at that stage.
Oh yeah, and you know, the Carter then they didn't they didn't fuck about.
No.
You know, th- if you were cheeky, they would slap you down. But
It,
I don't know. I suppose I enjoyed the challenge of it, and there were one full scrum, and it was quite obvious he didn't like me. And I just remember we used to do these quarry runs, and at the start we're all lined up outside this block, and he just said to me, he just came up to me and whispered into my ear, "As soon as we get back, you're getting back troops." And I just kind of laughed and walked away. And so I was a pretty good runner, and like I remember kind of I was in this run, and we went up to this quarry, and then it were like two at a time to the top of the quarry, no rules, and back down. And I remember kind of I was very frustrated and annoyed, and I think I took it out on somebody. And then when we got back, it was just kidding. It was just trying to get in the head, and it did.
Such a weird, like, bit of psychological warfare in it that goes
Yeah,
on between you and the corporals during basics.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's always one in that like seems to single you out. Oh, that's how I perceive it anyway. I always thought there was one who always like had it in for me, but probably never did. Like you say, it's just testing you, innit?
Yeah, well, no, I really don't think you like them.
All right, fair enough, fair enough.
I've
There
always
is that
been,
as well, isn't there?
I've always been very aware. I'm a bit Volkswagen Beetle. You know what I mean? You either love me or you don't.
I mean, you can't be any fairer than that, can you? You know, if you're
No,
aware
no.
of that, so you seem all right to me anyway.
Cheers, pal.
Yeah, yeah. So the Royal Signals then, they are essentially the nervous system of the army. Can you tell us a bit more about the role that you did in that position? How did you how
Well,
did you approach the training of it all, and what was involved in it all?
well, when you left basic, then you went basically to another um, barracks that was just up the hill. You went from 11 signal regiment to 8 signal regiment, and that's what you did. Your trade training, and and I got told that I couldn't. I was supposed to be a driver lineman, combat liner, and liners have got a bit of a reputation for um, being a bit, tasty, and but it's the slowest promotion trade. It's the worst paid trade, but probably more graft to it than
Yeah.
if you're a RADOP or something like that. And yeah, at first I got told I couldn't do it because I was colorblind, but then found out that they had my medical documents mixed up. And so I was in trade training for quite a while. And by the end of it, because it was still really bullshit, um, because it was a training unit, behavior wise and stuff like that, I started going downhill a little bit. And yeah, I started getting in bother. And my old man died around that time. That didn't help. Um,
No.
because I was on leave and I had a week off. I spent half of it in Leeds. My sister was down in London, so I went down to London. And after about the first day there, Mum ran and just said, "You guys have got to get home. Your dad's bad." And he'd been dead about 15 minutes, probably when we arrived home. So I rang up where I was working, and because at the time where I was working, then I was I was on a 3 month warning order, so I had been a bit naughty, and but I rang up and this guy just said, "Listen, okay, mate, thanks for letting us know. He said, take a bit of compassionate, but just keep us posted. Let us know what's going on and all that." And I think I think he'd just been buried, and I got a phone call from this like WO2 saying, "You get back here by the end of play today, or there'll be a warrant out for your arrest." And basically, you snaky fucker. This one, your dad. This were your grandfather. How could you lie about something like that? Put someone down on me. And I was like,
Wow.
so uh, when I got back, absolutely raging, and yeah, I got mixed that night as well, and I got put on another 3 month warning order, and it was just getting all a bit dodgy,
That sounds it, yeah.
and and then I got there was a new RSM because I ended up being like an RP. They wanted, and that was basically because I knew where everything was in Garden because I spent a bit of time in there. And every morning I used to take this daily occurrence book into this new RSM, and it was Carowinds up and all that. He was a really switched on guy. You wouldn't have messed with him, but it was fair as well, And he put in a good word for me. And then I got sent to uh, 24A mobile at 210 and it was basically sort yourself out, go here. If it don't work out, you're going to be off, son, you know. And
Yeah.
I, it was brilliant for me. It got me away from a training unit um, where I was living with permanent staff who resented me being with them. But I want one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Because I've done
Yeah.
all my training and stuff like that, my driving and all that. And but they couldn't post me out on a 3 month bender. So I went because I was supposed to be going to Hereford in Germany, one Arnhem did. And anyway, I went to this other unit, and it, I just really excelled. I enjoyed the work. I was good at my job. Um, Fitness side of stuff were always brilliant because I always liked running. Um, and I always remember I were in Germany on exercise, and this guy, he were a captain, but he'd been in RSM, you know what I mean? He'd gone through the ranks. And I were on guard duty at 3 in the morning. He just came up to me and, you know, so stick with him. Uh, and he said, listen, where you going when you get posted out? I said, one div. And he was like, oh. He said, yeah, I've spent time there. It's a good unit. He said, you do well there because it's a big unit. You'll fit right in and you won't be singled out because, it's a big unit. You'll blend in. He said, or you could stay here. He said, we're a small unit. He said, if you work, he said, you're good at your job, you're good at your trade. He said, if you do well here, you could get early promotion because, like I said, it's a small unit. He said, don't answer me now. Just have a think about it. Tell me in the morning. And I remember thinking, it was the first time I kind of felt like I suppose I wanted. It was
Yeah.
great. And so I stayed with them. And that's it. I really enjoyed it.
So what was your role amongst that then? Like how does your role as a signaller fit into that kind of environment, like the on the
Well,
brigade?
obviously, I was still doing my trade as a lining. It's laying cables, cable repair, that kind of thing. And but also I was hookup crew for underslung loads with Chin-ups. And yeah, it was just a bit funkier. There were a lot
Yeah, the
going
v-
on.
the yeah the variety of it all just kind of
Yeah,
appealed. Yeah, I
yeah,
can
yeah.
imagine. I can imagine. So
And you could always go because we had this multinational mobile division. So there were us, Germans, Dutch, Belgians, German paras, Belgian para commandos. That there were a lot of, you'd have like a landing zone for different areas and stuff like that. You just go up to RAF and just say, "Are you taking a helicopter now? Yeah. Can I have a cabin? Can I get it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jump in." We used
it's
to love
mad, isn't
it.
it? When you yeah, I was going to say little stories like that. It's crazy when you think back. Like it's like in another world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant,
Yeah, it's
absolutely
just
brilliant.
big boys with very big toys.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just give a word of warning. I've got my dogs around me, like going off tangent a little bit. So if the door goes, these will go a bit berserk. They're a bit mad.
Don't
So
worry.
just a word of warning. She's just woke up. That's what I'm saying. Right. Anyway, back to it. So yeah, I'm right in thinking that eventually amalgamated into 16 air assault.
That's right.
Yeah. I thought I'd read something about that. Yeah. So following that, then you volunteered for an attachment with an infantry battalion.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
only that, you joined the Gloucesters unit with significant military history.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I actually read about a bit about the Gloucesters, and I read about the Injin River, and
Okay.
what a story that is! Absolutely incredible. Um, so I weren't overly familiar with the Gloucesters or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, talk about decorated, bloody hell.
Yeah,
Were
yeah.
you aware of that joining that, or was it something that you kind of
Um,
developed as
that
you
were
were
probably
going?
more later, but I mean, when you got there, you, that was so different to say Baroque or Signals, where in the Signals there's units all over the place, different regiments, different squadrons, stuff like that. There's the 5AB element, there's the 264 SAS element, there's all sorts. And there's a lot of guys in the Signals, you know, they've got para wings up or, they've done the commando course or something. Just, it's everywhere. You know what I mean? A lot of people just think, like, you know, but I think, like me, I never touch radios or all like that. I just want it want my trade. But yeah, when I got to the Gloucesters, you could just there was so much tradition, so much history there. You got that straight away. I mean, there were the only regiment to wear two cap badges.
Yeah.
One on front, one on the back. Um, but they always say, don't they? Don't volunteer for anything. uh, and we went we went to States, and I knew we were going to the States, so I thought, yeah. But when you think of going to America, you think of places that are really well known. And, I would go to places like Snake Pass. Just all these like, oh. Um, but we went on this exercise called Trumpet Dance, and I think it's like, I don't know if they still do it. I don't know, but it went on for quite a few years, and the basic premise of it was the enemy were the first US Army Rangers who really thought there was something else, there was something a bit special. And there weren't really.
I think a lot of people can be guilty of that, though, can't they?
But I don't think a lot of people realize how professional and how specialized British infantry regiments are. And I know there's been so much amalgamation, stuff like that, but also, the pride of the regimental pride, it's massive. And I remember when we got there at night time and you remember those huts in a program called Sergeant Bilko? Did you ever watch Sergeant Bilko?
Do you know? I actually remember this Steve Martin one rather than there's
Right.
an original one, wasn't there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I used to watch it with my dad when I was a kid. We used to laugh our heads off. But basically, these white white huts, and on this Fort Lewis, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and we got in one. Took his kit off and stuff, and they said you could go out for a few beers, and I went out for a few beers, and I'm a bit pissed, and I couldn't find the one I was supposed to go back in there. And in the end, I got into one and an empty one, and I overslept first day there. Oh, this little company sergeant major, he ripped me apart. I was hanging out the ass as well. And so my first day really didn't go down very well, and but I made up for it quickly because I wanted to show that I could do this.
yeah, yeah.
And again,
Was that when you was with the Gloucesters, or was that when
yeah,
you were on
yeah,
the?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just in a platoon, and I quickly realised that. I mean, I'm not a massive guy, but I just quickly realised that I was a good runner. I'm fast. So, when you're doing section attacks and stuff like that, give grenades to him. He'll do it.
Everyone volunteering you at that point.
Yeah, yeah. If you were gonna kind of, I don't know, do like a Sibius and where you're doing room clearance and stuff like that, you'd get a big guy up against the wall. You'd get on the back of his webbing on his shoulder. He'd push you up into a window. You don't want somebody big to be doing that. And also, if you're fast and you're pretty lively. So,
Stand you in good stead, doesn't it? Definitely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what was one of your favourite times on the Gloucesters then? Would you say that was maybe one of them, or?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, um, there were a lot of like, because when we started, there was no snow around or anything like that. But you were doing a hell of a lot of mileage, tabbing, carrying massive amounts of kit,
Mm,
and then you could start seeing snow on the hilltops. But then we were living in them, living in snow holes and stuff like that. And I don't suppose were my most favourite, but yeah, I enjoyed all the you know all the stuff with them. I really, because like I said, I initially wanted to join the infantry, but yeah, it didn't go that way.
no. Well, you're part of it, weren't you? So
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
very, like I said, when I like something, I excel in it, and I really liked that.
yeah. So did you ever feel like an outsider when you were there? Because I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just I remember people being attached to our squadron, and
Yeah,
I mean it depended on how they integrated with the lads, but most of the
yeah.
time they were just kind of everyone was one. You know what I mean? But there was somewhere you just oh he's a bit of a
Well, when
dickhead.
I first got there, I mean, they'd just come back. When I joined them, they'd just come back from Tour of Ireland. They were very, they were a proper gelled unit. They were
Yeah,
tight. And when you get there, you could see people thinking, "Fuck, it was this."
yeah,
And but I think when you're working in a platoon, because it's such a small little unit, if you have any kind of strengths to get that, um, anything you need to be brought up to speed with, you know, they'll do that quickly.
yeah,
And there was a guy who was he was a platoon sergeant, but he was only still full screw. Um, but you could just see how important he was. There were a second lieutenant who was straight out of Standhurst. He was a bit, so this full screw was running everything.
yeah.
And yeah, Yeah, just see how professional they were, and I really enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
liked the um, I can put it, I suppose the camaraderie, how gelled they were. I got that. I really liked that.
Like
Which
knowing
is
that you can trust and rely on who you're with.
well, just every time you're out on a patrol or so, it's the same man in front, same man behind. You can see if somebody's struggling, and it was hard. The
Yeah.
amount of ground miles you were covering, altitude and stuff like that. Because at one point we were at cloud level and stuff. So like breathing heavy,
Yeah. Star
doing
affected.
something
Yeah.
really kind of minor. But you kind of it's quite easy to say you're all right, you know. And even if you're not, and you go, yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I remember when we were doing all this, I had an abscess, and I don't know if you've ever had an abscess in your mouth, but it's fucking
Luckily not.
horrendous.
Yeah. Luckily not now.
My eye was closed. There were no. This is how bad swelling was. My eye
Oh
was
wow.
closed. There was no indentation from my nose to my cheek. It was just all. So things like buttoning the press stud on your helmet was horrific.
Mm.
And then you're doing section attacks and throwing yourself on ground and yeah. And
The
eventually went into
adrenaline didn't help or anything. No.
this went on for
Oh, all right.
about a week.
All right. Okay.
Adrenaline
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
and goes.
Yes.
This was just
Yeah. It's
throb,
sunk.
throb, 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 throb. And I looked like somebody had been at me with a baseball bat. And there were guys coming up to me and said, "You all right?" And I went, "Oh, right, listen, man, But I eventually got to this place, and it was seriously just a little town. A town. It wasn't like a town. It was like, I don't know what it was. Very small place. And there
Right.
were no dentist there. It said, "Oh, no, dentist in here till Wednesday." This was like a Monday. And you know what it's like when you're on exercise and you stink and you're filthy and stuff. And I just, oh. And he basically, he was only like a receptionist or something, but he drilled a hole in the back of the tooth. And as soon as he got through, because there were no nerve, the nerve was dead. As soon as he got through the enamel, it was like instant relief. But it was just all this pus were like oozing out. And it were awful. But he gave me a bag of salt and he just said, put it in your water, just, get rid of it,
But
spit it
yeah. Yeah.
out. And that man, oh, I wish I could see him now. I'd shake his hand, seriously. It were unreal.
It's a
But
lot to deal with. A lot to deal with that.
the only other thing, if you've ever got like something in your mouth, your tongue will find it. And it was this sharp little hole. So by the end of that exercise, my end of my tongue were red raw. But apart from that, the pain had all gone.
So I mean, you talk about how much you enjoyed your time. Um, so what led you to leaving then? What was the reason for leaving? If you because
Leaving the army,
like say yeah, like say you
um,
mentioned that it was an enjoyable time.
uh, I'd say it was down to a lot of mates who I'd worked with for a long time. They were all leaving, but like at first it was like just one mate, then a couple of them, and then by the time I knew it, everybody who I worked with was pretty new. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it just didn't feel like the same to me. So, but 12, when you sign off and it's like 12 months notice, when it got to the 6 month point, some of these lads who had been posted in, I'd got quite tight with by that point, and I wanted to change my mind, but it'd gone past the time. And I remember going to see Chief Clark, and he was like, "No, no." He said, "If you want to join, you've got to be out 12 months."
Oh,
So
really?
I came out of the army and I, I was really pissed off with myself. I just thought I'd dropped a major planner. And I thought, well, what can I do for 12 months? So I went to live in Jersey, in Channel Islands. It was 4% tax, and I were odd carrying. I'll keep it fit, having a laugh.
With
And I
the
wouldn't
idea
mind.
that you're eventually going to go back in.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
And one because I got pally with this Kiwi lad out there, and we were out one night, and I got a tap on my shoulder, and I was in this pub, and I turned around, and it was this, he was called Captain Chapman. I'm like, what? And he's like, fuck. I'm like, Captain Chapman. And he said, come with me. And he'd taken some lass on a sailing holiday. And when I turned round, there were about 4 or 5 lads who were really tight with, who were really good mates. And I'm like, oh, what a night that was.
So why didn't you make the jump back into it then?
Before I left Jersey, so I'd been there about maybe, all told, I was there just under a year, about 11 and a half months. But
Right.
I think it was about 10 months point. I don't even know why I did this. I applied for Jacob Kramer Art College in Leeds. And I thought, I left school with 3 O levels. I thought, they won't have me anyway. And I got accepted. So I came back to Leeds to go to art college. But I also, I met a girl. We got a place together. And yeah, life changed.
Yeah. So it just kind of fizzled out as you developed
Well, I
into the
always
college.
thought if we break up, I'll just go back in army, but
Yeah.
that was a sort of a 2 year relationship or something.
Right. So yeah. So it's fair to say that you've lived quite a eclectic life. Um, it took you all over the place, but you do always, like you say, you always seem to find your way back to Leeds. Um, how what is obviously like you grew up there, but why do you, having travelled all over, why do you think you always settle back there?
Um, my mother, my mum, I mean, she died when she was 91. Um, but she was knocking on at that point. So I always wanted to, I suppose, keep an eye on her, make sure she was all right. Um, but yeah, I love Leeds. I always have done.
Yeah, yeah.
Massive Leeds United fan. Love all that.
We all have our faults,
Um,
don't we?
oh man, we all have our crosses to bear. But yeah, I suppose also when throughout my life, yeah, I've lived in different places and travelled and stuff like that. But I think if you've been away from your home and what is very much your home, when you come back, it's always great. I think, yeah. So it's just always been. I've always loved traveling. I've always loved living other places. But when you come home, that it's grinding, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's your
yeah,
anchor,
yeah. I
and
get that. I get that.
I've always loved coming back.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So going back to obviously after you left, and like you say, you joined the college, you met your wife. Um,
Oh, that wasn't my wife.
oh, sorry, I thought you said you got married to her.
No, not her.
Oh, right, sorry, right,
That was
okay. So
just
you
a
met
2 year relationship. But
right. Oh, sorry, right, I misheard. So anyway, yeah. So you've gone through that. Did you ever struggle with the transition at that point of leaving, or did you always have it? Did it help the fact that you thought you were going to go back in?
yeah, it did. It did. But I mean, I remember, the talk about resettlement courses. My resettlement was going into an office and typing out a really crap CV. That there you go. Right, there you go, lad. That was my resettlement.
Sets you up well.
I still got it. I kept
Have
it
you?
because, I mean, that's when every letter or number you typed, it was made up of dots and you can see the individual, it was like, it was sharp. It was sharp,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
bad. But I kept it because it was that bad. And
So what were you doing? What were you doing while you was at college then? I know you like say
I
you're
didn't,
studying
I
art,
didn't,
but what were you doing in terms of
I only
you know?
stayed in college for about 6 months. I
Right.
was used to a working wage. Um, let's say I were now kind of had a girlfriend I was living with and stuff like that. And the money, I just couldn't live off that money. So I ended up getting a job. Um, well, I wasn't even paid by him for the first couple of weeks. Basically, it was painting traditional pub signs, Tetley Brewery. And in the first couple of weeks, I was basically just stood next to this guy, copying him until I got up to speed. Um, so the college thing didn't really last that long. Um, and then I just had it in my head. I thought, after about a year or so, I just got it in my head that I wanted to be a painter. But every time I tried, I mean, there was no internet then or anything, but every time I tried, you know, I just, I, I quickly became skint. So then I'd have to jump on a building site or get a job. And I always saw jobs as just to get a few quid together. It was never about a career or anything like that.
Mm.
And then after another relationship, I just thought, um, I need something. And I want to do something that involves art. And I thought, oh God, what jobs are all right paid, but there's a cushy element. And I thought, teachers get paid for 13 weeks paid holiday per year. And I thought, that's for me. So I went to university. I did a fine art degree. I started when I first started working in schools, I didn't have a degree. So I was only classed as an instructor. But again, quickly kind of developed teaching skills and I went to night school at that point. Um, so we're always coming home, writing bloody essays and stuff. And then after that, it was when I've met my now wife. She was a smart cookie. So I thought, how can I up my game and earning power? So I went to university and did a degree. Um, but teaching at first, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, I enjoyed being like immersed with art and that subject. I also taught history. I, I, I've had times where I've taught PE, land-based studies, construction.
So was it
I
in a high
taught
school then, or was it what? What?
I have worked in high schools, but most of my teaching time were in behavioural settings, pupil referral units, stuff like that.
Do you think your time in the military kind of helped in that, in
Yeah.
terms of how you
Oh
how you
yeah.
deal with scenarios and whatnot? Yeah,
How you conduct yourself.
yeah,
And I always thought teaching was kind of like acting as well. Sometimes you could be amazingly frustrated with somebody, something, some situation, but or other times you could verbally unload on somebody and it sounded like you were really annoyed and I wasn't at all. It was
yeah.
acting, and it was a persona. And also I think especially probably because I was a testy kid, I think kids always like to push the boundary. But they like then I think most people like to know where the line is. And I could put that across quite well. And it wasn't like I was just trying to be some badass because I loved having fun with students and stuff like that, having a laugh and talking football and stuff like that. But if if their behaviour was destroying the lesson for everybody else, well, that's not on. And
No.
you know, again, like I say, I think it's important to let people know where that line is.
Yeah, stern but fair.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have that, like, that's part I guess that's partly why, people do, like, lack the engagement in classes as well, because you always have 1 or 2, like, prats in a class, don't you, who kinda
oh yeah.
if you are focused and engaged, then they'll take you, distract you, and then you kinda lose all interest anyway. So, like you said there, having that drawing that line and make sure everyone know how to toe the line, I think it is important,
And like I
definitely.
said, this is why when I've I haven't been on one for a while, but 2 years. But I used to go to an annual reunion in York, and you know, some guy. It's not the same guys who come every year, but they say, "Oh, what are you doing now, Buck?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a teacher," and they'd be like, you know, they couldn't believe it.
Like you say though, you put on a persona, don't you, for the
Yeah,
environment. You've gotta
yeah.
do it, you've got to adapt to it. But, did you ever struggle? Because obviously the military is like, you talk about setting a standard and drawing a line. Did you ever boil over to the point where you kinda just went in on went in on someone, or was you always really self-aware and, aware of the situation?
And sometimes I've always kind of prided myself on um, using language when I was teaching, using language appropriately, and I would never like swear in front of a kid. I've seen it where kids have sworn at staff members, and the staff member has repeated what they've said to them. But to me, I never thought that was the right way of doing it, or even jokingly maybe letting a little bit of language like that into a conversation. I just, like I say, it was a lot of people used to think that I were quite, I don't know, I don't know what always like kids
I
thought
suppo
of me.
I
I
I
think they
suppose
thought I were
that's a
quite
level of
straight
discipline,
laced.
innit?
I think
Right,
a
okay.
lot of kids thought I were quite straight laced. They could have a laugh with me, but quite straight laced. And, you know, as soon as the kids would go home, I'd be like, take the
Yeah.
mask off, and I'd be like, you know,
I find that in my job, well, maybe not so much now, but, when I did leave, like, I always struggled to because the environment around a bunch of blokes, like, in the military, it's completely different to Civvy Street.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I always struggled with that balance. So, I found myself going, like, really quiet, and then when I like you say, once you've finished and you're back home, it is just like a weight off your shoulder, and you can be back to being your normal self kinda thing, but it's a tough I really struggle with that. I thought it was a tough balance. But like I say, I've been out long enough now where I'm kinda fine with it, and I understand, you deal with people as they come, like, everyone's different, so you have to adapt to each person. But with a bunch of kids, I I couldn't imagine how
Oh,
hard that was.
you know, um, the last place I was at, I remember when I went there, it was in Halifax, and I remember being shown around and just thinking, I like this place. It's got a nice vibe about it. It's got a nice feel about it. And when COVID started, the lady who was head teacher, and she was really supportive of me. Uh, she likes she likes what I kind of were bringing. Um, I remember because it were an old Victorian house that had then turned into like a care home, and then it had become a school. It just didn't look like a school, you know. Um, I remember in the back garden, I remember saying, Deborah, do you mind if in history, I said, I'm wanting to get some shovels and get the lads to dig a section of a World War One trench. They're sort of like coming up to remembrance and stuff like that. And she said, "Do you want to dig up the garden?" I said, "Well, it wouldn't be me, it'd be the kids." And I had a drawing of what I wanted. I said, "And there'll be duck boards on bottom." I said, "There'll be a fire step, maybe digging where they could maybe put ammunition or something like that." I said, but it was probably about 6 foot long, if that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just a small section. But also, I wanted them to graft. I wanted to show them how hard it is digging something like that
Yeah.
in winter. And she was like that. Yeah, okay. Get photographs, so
Really?
will you? Yeah, she was. That's it. Really supportive of a lot of projects because I used to develop a lot of projects in education, and they always went down well.
That's the kind of thing that I would find interesting because you're immersed in it at that point, aren't you? And like in schooling, I
Yeah.
think that it lacks that. Well, it did when I was a kid anyway. It lacks that massively.
When we finished the trench, then we made our own poppy wreath, and there were 2 minute silence and 11 o'clock on Remembrance Day, and I photographed them. And I remember the one lad who he was a right shit, and somebody were like moving or shuffling the feet, and you're like,
Pride, in it? Bit of pride,
yeah,
bit of pride. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But that's the kind of thing. Like it's easy to be, read from a exercise book, in it. But you know, granted, it's not the same level as what they went through in the war, but it gives them that understanding of, like you say, just how difficult it is. And obviously, the
yeah,
circumstances are different. But yeah, they would take pride in that because it's important, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. So how
yeah.
long? How long were you there for? How long were you in
That school,
teaching for?
oh,
Well,
20
just
years,
in teaching, 20
20
years.
years,
And
21, I think.
were you there for the majority or
We're about for the majority.
of the 20 years we were at that school, or did you
No,
venture
no,
to
I
go
was there
elsewhere?
4.5 at that one.
Right.
Like I say, during that time, I was working in Beijing. I worked in a lot of, I did work uh, in a mainstream school as well. And then they sent me to, because they had 3 schools, and they sent me to their other one, and I was there for about 3, 4 years. Um, I don't, I don't know if you know what an LSU is. It's like a learning support unit within a
Yeah.
mainstream school. When kids
Yeah.
are problematic and maybe disrupting lessons, they'll send them to this LSU. So I used to teach maths, English, history, and art. And again, I used to design these projects where you'd have a bit of ICT, bit of history, bit of maths, bit of literacy, bit of art, you know. And I remember we made this diorama of the like Christmas 1914 Christmas truce. I took some kids actually in 2014. I had to choose 2 kids out of the whole school uh, and take them over to France and Belgium for the centenary of World War One. That was epic.
Yeah.
There were like one teacher and 2 kids from different schools in Leeds, and we met at this place. We got on a coach. There were battlefield historians. There were members of the Yorkshire Regiment, and we all got on. Nobody really knew each other. We all got on this coach, and then we were on Channel over there. And by the time we came back, everybody knew everybody, and you properly knew that you'd been on this epic trip, like life changing. I think,
Yeah.
and,
Following
and that's
footsteps, innit?
when you're kind of going around these cemeteries over there, and the scale of it is just overwhelming.
Mm.
And you were actually given the name and details of one soldier. And throughout the trip, you did a lot of research on this soldier. And then when you were over there in France or Belgium, and you'd go to a cemetery, and that's when you'd find you didn't know that he was killed, but that's when you'd find your man, and he was from the same part of Leeds as the school that you worked at, you attended.
Yeah.
So it was quite a personal thing. I always
Yeah.
remember this kid finding a soldier in Tynecott Cemetery. And he had nothing, but he felt like he wanted to put something on his grave. So he left a couple of gummy bears. That it was quite
Yeah.
touching, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's the kind of
And
thing that. Go on. Sorry.
no, I actually I've done a bit of research myself, but I found an old relative of mine. I mean, I've obviously never met him. He died. He was killed in 1918. He was in the Highland Light Infantry, but actually, if he wasn't born in Italy, he was, um, he was brought up with Italian parents and family. Um, and yeah, and also there were no grades for him. He was obviously blown up, but there were a big kind of plaque, a big wall actually,
Yeah.
with, and this one a massive cemetery, but just on this wall there were a couple of thousand names and and a few hundred graves. And the sergeant major from the Yorkshire Regiment, he kind of brought us up to attention. And then this officer read, the going down of the sun. And oh man, I had a right lump in my throat.
Yeah. I
And
can
I was
imagine.
the first, I think I was like the first relative of our family who's ever been to that cemetery. It was quite poignant, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it's something that will stick with you forever. That and the kids who went there as well, because
Yeah, yeah,
like I say, you're following in the footsteps of you know a tragic part of history, aren't you? And it's like I say, it's awe-inspiring, really. And you can never, like say, you talk about a wall with thousands of names on, and you can't you can't fathom the scale of loss, can you really, until you see that kind of thing? It's just obviously you could watch documentaries, you read about it, but until like you're there, because I actually when I was because I was back course when I did my basic training, various reasons, like I say, learning and whatnot. But we actually went over to the Somme and we did a dig restoration for this trench, and it was at the back of and we went to the war graves in the cemetery, and it was like I say, it was
Can I just ask, was that near a tower? That trench? Was it near a tower?
no, it was at the back of this little farm. I think it's one of the only remaining ones left in the area. But yeah, I mean that was quite, like you say, quite poignant, and it's something that I'll always have with me forever. Just the fact that we, like you say, you kind of following in their footsteps. It's massively important, I think, to remember all that and feel how lucky we are to not have to go through that. You know. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So you mentioned about Beijing. I can imagine that was something else. What was that like?
Nuts. Nuts. So there were a guy I worked with, ex-army as well. I think he were in 47 Dragoons, and he were in quite a bit earlier than me, sort of like during 80s. And he'd been out to China, he'd been living there before I met him, and he was going back. Now I had a house, and I was going to rent it out and go because he said, "Why don't you come over?" I said, "You have a laugh, it's great." So I'd already had it in my head that I was going to go. I was going to rent my house out to this lad, and then he got a job snowboard instructor in Austria. So, and then my boiler packed up, and I just thought, I'll just lock the house up and go. So I did, and because I'd had an interview with the head teacher on a telephone call, and then when I got there, he'd left. This head teacher had left, and this new head teacher had took over. He hadn't offered me a job. He didn't know me from Adam. And I were like freaking out, saying to me, "Mate, Steve, look, what's going on?" And Steve's like, "Oh, chill out. Chill out. I just left my job I've come over here and I haven't got a job. And they were going, "Ah, you'll have one." He said, "Look, let's just go out for a couple of days and then I'll get a job on Monday." And he was so confident that I would, but I did.
It's
I got,
quite a daunting prospect, though, isn't it? Going over there without anything.
they just loved the English. If you were a teacher and you were from England, yeah, they wanted you. And I remember going to an interview. I remember taking all my past certificates and all my stuff under me, in like a little folder and everything. And they ushered me into this hall where there were all these, and the kids were all quite young, about 7-year-old or something like that. And they were all sat in a semicircle, and they were like a flip chart board. And this guy with a camera on a tripod, and they're just pushing me out there, going, "Teach, teach." I had nothing prepared. And like when you kind of go, "Oh, here we go."
I can imagine.
And after about 20 minutes, they all stood up, gave me a round of applause, and then took me out for dinner and they offered me a job. And I was just about to start for them. And then the guy who took over the school when my mate were working, he offered me a job. So I ended up going there with
Man in demand. What was it you're teaching over there?
children. Sorry,
No.
that's a teacher joke. It was an international school, so there were kids from all over the world whose parents were like business people and stuff like that. It was quite expensive to send your kids there, and it was a class of like 7-year-olds, grade 2. It's all like American graded, and I taught maths, English, art, history, PE, and music. And then for 1/3 of the curriculum, they were taught by Chinese staff in Chinese.
So how long were you there for?
6 months.
6 months. What was the biggest shock to you there, though?
I remember having my address and practicing it in Mandarin. I remember getting into a taxi and saying my address to this taxi driver and it's like, I don't know what the wide eyes speaking about, And in the end, the first sort of real Chinese I learned was straight on, left and right, because then you can get into a taxi and yeah.
So the language barrier was probably the most difficult thing.
Yeah. I remember after school, we used to do after school activities. Because I were English, I got football, and that was mental. It was like, like the end scene of a Benny Hill clip. It's just a chain of people, all kind of like a snake. And I'm just passed up, well, just past it, but like that. And then there were a Mongolian school next door. So then I played football with them, all the Mongolian staff. And then on my way home, I used to go into this little restaurant because it had a menu with pictures on. So I could go, two of that. And I remember the first time I went in there and ordered a meal in Chinese. She was like, and she brought out all the chefs and everything. We all applauded me. When you feel really patronised.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how I'd feel about that, really.
But
it's appreciated, though, isn't it, when you're away, when you're overseas?
Chinese culture is so different to ours. I like them. I like the people. I love the food. Their diet is so much healthier than ours. But it's not wrong in Chinese culture to stare. And when they see a Western person, like, you know, and if this was just before the Beijing Olympics. So if the kids had been learning a bit of English at school, they'd be pushing the kids up to you to talk to you in English, or um, but yeah, things like I remember Wednesdays PE were first lesson. So I'd go to school, go to work in like a pair of shorts and, like football kit really. And I always remember this taxi driver touching me leg and I'm like, whoa. And he was like, oh. And he didn't know much English, but he just, monkey, because you don't have body hair, and he was like, honestly, it's mental.
Just pure novelty.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember going to Beijing Zoo one day, and I had an English mixed race girl in my class, um, and I were having. I mean, luckily she had no idea of what was going on, but there were people kind of standing near her while other people were taking pictures, and it was just they have no concept of your space, privacy,
Yeah.
appropriateness, sort of, and stuff like that. They just think, you know,
It's weird. I after I left, I did a bit of traveling myself, and I ended up in India. And myself and my friend who I was traveling with, we were doing this tour, and we was in Mumbai, and we have a group of Indian families and people on this same tour. And similar to you, like it was just pure novelty that we were there, like blonde hair, Westerner, all this kind of thing. Anyway, we looked a right mess because, like I say, we'd done a bit of traveling. We weren't well kept or anything like that. And this couple who were just like newlyweds, I guess, wanted the pictures taken with us, and we were just like, really? Like, well, yeah, because of the novelty. We're just like, oh my god! But we looked. I got them to take a picture for us as well. I've still got the picture, and we looked absolutely awful. Like, so God knows what they've done with theirs. But
another
yeah, it's
thing,
like
China.
saying it, just the culture, the novelty of it all. Sorry.
Another thing, um, the won't queue. They won't queue for anything. They think queuing's for nutcases because there were 15.5 million people living in that city then. I think it's close to 20 million now.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that gridlock on the morning. Because when I say they don't queue, they won't queue when they're walking, but also traffic lights means nothing to them. If they can move forward 10 inches, they will. If that means that a bus can't come through that way, tough. It's every man for themselves. And also spitting.
Oh
It
no.
culturally, spitting it sounds like, and women as well, it sounds like they're biting into the crunchiest Granny Smith. So it's like proper like honking it up. And yeah, it's terrible. But then just before the Beijing Olympics, the government were trying to stop people doing it. Because they thought it'll gross
Yeah.
Westerners out. Um, but yeah, that you can't all this. It's just like what you're staring at them like what? It's not a thing to them.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen? I think it's called An Idiot Abroad. Carl
Yeah.
Pilkington. Yeah. Oh, his episode on China has me crying every time. Where he sees, I think someone eating an egg or something like that, or I can't remember what it was, but anyway, they just smash. I think it might have been a frog or something actually, and they're just smashing this. And then the next thing, it's in the soup, and he's having a. It's just that kind of thing. It's just the difference in culture. Like it's just
People always
bananas.
say to me when they know that I've been to China, they always say, "Oh, did you eat cat or dog?" And I'm like, honestly, their diet. I mean, they eat a lot of like fish, fruit, vegetables, and
Yeah.
it's always like freshly cooked and really good. But I remember going out one night and with uh, because where I worked were Australians, Canadians, Americans, Kiwis, and English. But we also had Chinese staff as well. and I were eating this, I don't know, like, like a kebab type thing in bread, with meat and
Yeah.
vegetables and stuff in there. And I remember eating the meat, thinking, and I knew instantly I've never tasted this before. And I said, because they won't say pork, even if they're speaking English, they'll say pig, or they'll say lamb, they'll say sheep, beef, cow. And I'm saying, is this cow? And I'm like, no, no, no. And I'm saying, is it sheep? No, no. He didn't know, and he couldn't tell me because he didn't know the English word. What is this? And he went, eat-o, eat-o. And it was donkey.
Oh God.
And I remember going to work next day, and this Canadian pal of mine, Craig, he was married to a Chinese girl. And I said, no, I went out last night, Craig. And I said, I'm eating fucking donkey. And he went, oh, we have it twice a week in our house. It's like, all right. And
Staple diet, donkey.
I'm not shy. I will try anything then, food-wise.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock though, isn't it, when you're just being told?
Yeah.
Right, so coming back to the UK then, I guess. So at what point did you end the teaching career?
3 years ago.
Right, and
3
since
years
then it's
ago.
been full-time artist.
Yeah. I mean, I do
How,
a couple of art workshops and stuff like that, but yeah.
how do you find it? Because obviously, well, it's all about demand, isn't it, being an artist?
Um, you've got to be present and on social media. Social media helps you out massively. And I mean, there's tricks and ways of doing it, but basically your work's got to be good. And if
Yeah,
people share your work, and uh, you know, it's not just paintings that I sell prints as well. So if you can, if you can sell quite a few prints. So the things you're choosing to paint. I mean, I love portraiture, so I do quite a bit of military stuff. I've done a hell of a lot for Leeds United. I've got like 10 paintings in the Chairman's Lounge. They opened this new, in the hospitality areas, they opened this new Eddie Gray suite, and I did 8 portraits of Eddie Gray in there. I've got
right.
different like prints and stuff around different hospitality areas and stuff. So I had a really good relationship with them, but then it kind of went off the boil a little bit when the old CEO left and he went to Everton, and he was the guy who invited me into all this. Um, so yeah, I do a lot of like other sporting, a lot of Formula One, and I'd love to break into, you know, selling more Formula One stuff. I mean, I love Formula One, so it's a pleasure to do. Um,
Yeah,
but on the military side of stuff, it, I painted Paddy Mayne maybe
I've seen, yeah.
7 times. I must have painted him
I've
about
seen some of
7
your
times.
art. I've seen some of your art, and yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. So I've seen the cityscapes that you've been doing, and they're absolutely beautiful. I think I really like them, and like you say, the Paddy Mayne one. When I saw that, I was like, wow. I know you say you've done a few, but I think there's one in black and white you did. I
Yeah.
might be, yeah. I just think it's absolutely amazing. The Leeds United ones, I'm not
Not
too.
for you. Not for you.
Not for me, not for me. But I understand. I understand the passion, and even then, I mean, they're incredible. So the talent you've got is amazing.
Well, because I used to have, it's part of the hospitality side of Leeds United. They've got this, it's called the Centenary Pavilion. And I used to be in there every home game, and I'd have like a big pitch with boards behind me where I could hang. And number one, I used to get to go in and see the football free. So that were always really nice. Because it's hard getting a ticket for Leeds United now. There's so much
Yeah,
demand. That's why they're making the stadium so much bigger. Um, but I used to sell a hell of a lot of work, and because I never wanted to sour it, I've never been like a Man United player or a Chelsea player because I won't go there. I didn't want to I didn't want my client base to kind of turn the back on me. But since the kind of relationship has kind of ended a little bit. I mean, I do a couple of art workshops for them with school kids and stuff like that, but I'm not there every week like I used to be. And yeah, since then I have done a Ronaldo, Man United Ronaldo, begrudgingly,
Superb. Superb.
and I put a few extra quid on it as well.
Make it worth your while.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. So,
Who were you
where
a
do you
fan of
see?
then?
I'm Man United.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually when I was a kid, I was born in Chesterfield, but my mum moved us to Salford, so we lived about two
Okay.
minutes away from the old Cliff training ground. So that's the roots to Man United for me. But yeah, I mean, it's been
Did
a
you like
sour.
Ronaldo?
Oh, I love Cristiano. Yeah, absolutely love him.
Right. I'll send you a print then.
Ah,
It's not a
appreciate
bad
it.
image, really.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can imagine. I'll keep an eye out for that. But I mean, I love, absolutely love football. But I just last few years have been a bit rough, especially losing to Leeds last season. But hey ho.
Yeah, it's terrible for us.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. No, they've done well, haven't they, this season? To be fair,
Yeah,
done
yeah.
really well. But not nice to see. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on. So you're part of the Army Benevolent Fund as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about your role in that and what kind of things that involves.
Well, um when I had my degree show at university, I invited a lady who was like chairman of the West Yorkshire branch, and I've just always kept in touch with her. When I've done like kind of like Leeds Half Marathon and stuff like that, the Army Benevolent Fund have always been like my charity of choice. And to be honest, it's a charity. Everybody's heard of Help for Heroes and British Legion, but I always think the ABF goes a bit, it's under the parapet a little bit, and it's a big charity that they fund other military charities and other military causes. They do so much, and I always thought if I can ever do anything, let's say like a run or anything, if I were doing it anyway, I'd do it for ABF. And this lady asked me if I'd be interested in joining the committee. And I just thought, no, not for me. But I've always kept in touch with her. And when I went self-employed, she asked me again. And I said, and she also said that, they needed a bit of new blood because I think COVID killed a few of them off and they were a bit low on the ground. I went along and yeah, so that's been nearly 3 years I've been doing that. And they have a do in York annually. It's called the Yorkshire Big Curry Lunch. It's at the Merchant Adventurers Hall, right in the centre of York, and it's a beautiful old Tudor building. And they have this chap called Ken Cook, who's a D-Day veteran. He's 101 in August, actually. We're only 18 when we were on D-Day. And
God.
he comes every year, painted him. Um, he, yeah, it's just so I'm like artist in residence there, and I've been for the last 3 years, and I just, yeah, I think the Army Benevolent Fund, I just think it needs to be a bit more shouted about what it does, because, like I say, I think it goes a little bit unheard.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have changed a little bit now compared to when I got out. But at the time of when I got out, I was struggling a little bit on like what I was going to be doing and what I needed and stuff like that. And to me, at that point, I never really knew what was available to me. Eventually, like it was SAFA and things like that that I got a little bit of assistance from. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think that they do need to have a louder voice, don't they? They need to maybe put them. not put
We've
themselves
got,
out because obviously they do a lot, but you know, use the tools that are there. You know, similar
yeah,
to this, I guess. Like, hopefully,
yeah.
we can put the word out a little bit more and stuff like that. So
Just, I mean, I remember when the Armed Forces Day is coming up, and rather than just, I mean, everybody who does anything, it's all chat, you know, it's all, but they volunteer the time and efforts, and it's so commendable.
yeah,
But I remember kind of going to this stall, and there's just, you've got a couple of people, and maybe, you know, I'm not saying old fogies, but you know, definitely a little bit. They're not young people, and maybe selling a tea towel or something like that. You know, with like all the cat badges on the British Army or something like that. And I just thought, I'll tell you what, I'll stand outside. I'll do face painting. Or I'll just have a bucket there because there'll be loads of kids there. All kids like, you know, face painting. And I remember
yeah,
taking my old lid and like getting all these kids, hamming them up, putting their helmet on, getting mum and dad to photograph them. Right, next. Oh, you want to be a butterfly? No problem, you know.
yeah.
But just something like that. And it's just about getting money in the bucket. And
Yeah.
so
It does
that's
need a shift like that.
that's what
I
I
think
do
it does.
every year at Armed
Yeah,
Forces Day. I'm a face painter.
commendable though. Anyway, but like I say, I think things like that does need a shift because, like you say, the generation gap is huge, isn't it? And you know, people, social media, like you said, for your art is a huge thing, and the presence on that can be
Mm.
utilized like for anything. So, yeah, I think that modernizing that side of things would certainly help. Just to give people the interest and, want to kind of hear about it and stuff like that, so but either way, I mean, people volunteering the time is, like I say, commendable and, you know,
I mean,
not a lot of people do it, do they? So
Wayne, on that committee, I'm 56 next month, and I'm like, they see me as young blood.
I mean, you're not old, are you? But, you know, it's just,
No, but you know,
I
if
get
you
what you're
had some
saying.
like kind of,
It's being relatable, isn't it, to the younger generation as well, I guess, so it's
I
not
mean,
easy
it's
to bridge that gap.
no, but you know, there's a lot younger. You know, when you think of like maybe somebody who's been in the armies for a while, who's just come out, if they wanted to get involved with like doing more for a charity like the Army Benevolent Fund, you know, they might be in their 30s. You know, and they understand probably a lot more about the army of today, a lot more than I would.
Mm,
You know, I just think people should be involved if it's something
yeah,
that they care about. Because I know, like, when I go down to the cenotaph in Leeds every year, you know, there's more and more people every year at that cenotaph. So rather than just paying the respects on Remembrance Sunday, maybe if they could volunteer a bit of time, effort, you know, for a military charity, it would be seriously, um, you know, it'd be a massive help, massive.
yeah. Yeah, it's food for thought, isn't it? Definitely. But yeah, I see what you say about that as well because yeah, it's easy to give up a day, isn't it? But it's not so easy to. Yeah, time's precious in it for everybody. I think that's the problem. And you know, even doing this is hard, like because it's so time consuming. But I get what you're saying. It does need more people, 100%.
You know, it could be just taking a couple of rattle tins to the regular pub.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? It can be as easy as that.
yeah. Like I say, it's food for thought, innit? Hopefully, people listening will kind of think, oh, you know, I might do that. So, like I say, you just
Yeah,
need a platform, don't you? A voice and
yeah,
stuff like that. So, all right. And so, so what's next for you then? Do you see yourself staying in Leeds, or is there another adventure in you? Or
yeah. My daughter's 12. You know, she'll be starting year 8 at high school in September, and yeah. And we love where we are.
Yeah.
At one point we did think, is the house a little bit small? We like the area, so we had an extension on the house. We're happy where we are.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. And you'll continue with the benevolent fund.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. Right. Well, I mean, that's it then, mate. I think we've touched on everything. I do have a little quick fire thing for you
Go
that
for
I'd
it.
like to go through. So, um, just bear with me 1 second. So, basically, this will be your kind of favourite things out of the scenario I'm going to put across to you. Some
Okay,
you might like, some you might not. So,
go for it.
favorite artwork.
Ooh, there's a Victorian Leeds painter called John Atkinson Grimshaw, and to me, he's just like the master of the moonlight painting.
Lovely.
And they're
I
brilliant.
think you missed a beat there. You should have said Lee Buccilli.
Ah,
No, fair enough. I'll have a look out for that.
do.
Leeds winning the league or Man United being relegated?
Oh, could we have both? Is that asking too much?
I think so. I think so.
Leeds winning the league.
Yeah, fair enough. Banksy or Caravaggio?
How about you?
Yeah, 100%. Wilkinson or Bielsa?
Wilco. And
Top gun.
Bielsa was brilliant, and it wasn't just the football. He brought something to the city. He made the city love Leeds football again, which
Yeah,
was amazing.
yeah. Top Gun or Navy SEALs?
Top job.
Favorite ration?
Ooh, I used to like those. That powder you put in your water, that screech.
Screech. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that.
Why get wired after that? Favorite posting?
Uh, 210, 210.6.
Tetley tea or Yorkshire tea?
I don't drink either. I'm not a tea drinker.
Oh, really? Right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
It reminds me of mucky dishwater.
I don't drink tea either, to be fair. I agree. Right. So, worst posting.
Schemes troop.
Worst ration.
Uh, Bacon burgers.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
I
I can
don't need.
imagine.
I mean, I don't. It was basically a tin of fatty meat, and it was like processed meat.
Ugh, rancid. Rancid. Australian Outback or Yorkshire Dales?
Yorkshire Dales.
Football or F1?
You see, during the football season, I'd say football, but as soon as the season finishes, I love Formula One. So 50-50, really.
50-50. Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Stallone.
Oils or acrylics?
Oils. Even though I
Em-
don't paint in either.
Oh, do
I
you
paint
not?
in no, I paint in enamels, which is oil
Oh,
based,
right.
but think more like that kind of paint you might have used to do your airfix models in.
Right. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Emmerdale or Clarkson's Farm?
Clarkson's Farm. I don't watch soaps.
No, me neither. Biscuit brown or biscuit fruit?
Root. Brown was terrible.
Right. Lastly,
Oh, take your
this isn't
teeth
a quick.
out.
Yeah, I weren't a fan myself, but lastly, and this isn't a quick fire. It's just from your time in the military. Is there anyone who you have lost touch with that you may want to kind of reconnect with that thinking back over the years?
I think anybody who are really tight with, I have kind of made contacts with. I mean, Facebook and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to mention him. The the one who honestly we were like that, and I still see him. I did a painting of his son's in Marines. So I did two paintings of him only last month, It's called Gaz Tanner. When I knew him, he was a full screw, but he did make it up to Squadron Sergeant Major, and he's called Gaz Tanner, and I love him to death. He's a good lad.
That's a good way to end, I think. And all right, Lee. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Cheers, Wayne. And
Yeah,
listen, to begin with, I don't know if you know, I was a little bit nervous, but no, it's been really good. Really enjoyed it.
yeah, good, good. Glad you enjoyed it, mate. And like I say, it's been a pleasure. I enjoy talking to new faces, and like your stories are incredible. So, like I say, I wish you all
Oh,
the
I could
best,
go
mate.
on and on.
Well, we all can't we? That's the problem. But no, again, mate, I appreciate your time, and
No
yeah,
worries.
I hope you enjoy the show when it comes out.
I'm sure.
All
I'm
right,
sure I
mate.
will.
Take
You
care.
take care.
All right.
See you
Yeah.
later.
Cheers. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye, man.